back in the day, we would say pop the other movie on. Now you just click a switch and you put the other movie on. It doesn't take effort and it's enjoyable. So you do it. You don't realize the whole night went by. Wallahi, like in our neighborhood, we're born and brought up in this country, so we know what's going on around us. People outside the Tim Hortons manager spoke to me and said, Abdul, you got to talk to your community. We have to hire security for Tim Hortons because there's 15 cars lined up at midnight outside of our Tim Hortons where drive-thru closes at 12 o'clock. They get coffee and they sit there till 4 o'clock in the morning in their cars. I said, how do you know it's my community? He's like, they all know you. Whenever you go by, you say salam to them. I said, really? So one night I went there, there's 14, 15 cars on 10 Mile and Ryan. Okay? 14, 15 cars lined up and everyone's on their phones till 4 o'clock in the morning. They don't even realize because it doesn't take any effort and it's enjoyable to them. What are these two people doing? Abbad bin Yasir, Ammar bin Yasir. What are they doing? Abbad bin Bishr. They said, what should we do that doesn't take much effort and is very enjoyable? Let's pray salah. Let's pray salah. To them, that was enjoyable. And to them, it didn't take any extra effort. That was their natural state. Their natural state was that. If you saw them out of that natural state, they were out of their comfort zone like the fish out of water. The natural state of a believer is to be in Medina. Anyone go to Medina before? Medina Munawwara? Do you want to leave Medina when you're in Medina? Nobody wants to leave Medina. That's our natural state. Our heart is attached to Medina. Our heart is attached to the Kaaba. When we leave Medina and Mecca, we're like fish out of water. Right? But nowadays that sentiment is just, we love it, we want to be there. For that sentiment, we say, Alhamdulillah. At least we still have that. Right? That's how these people were day and night. They were like, that was their natural state day and night. Not just for 10 days. So Abbad bin Bishr says, okay, let me start praying and you wait. Half the night I will pray, half the night you will sleep. And then I'll wake you up, you pray, and then I'll sleep. So Abbad bin Bishr started. Allahu Akbar, Ammar bin Yasir fell asleep. As he was praying salah, an enemy from far distance wanted to test this object, he thought. He thought this was either a tree or a human, but he didn't know what it was because it was still. In the dark, he couldn't see. So he shot an arrow, and it hit Abbad bin Bishr's arm. An arrow, a gun. In those days, it's like a gunshot wound. That's equivalent of a gunshot wound in those days. An archer shooting an arrow. So Abbad bin Bishr, he's praying salah. He pulls the arrow out of his arm and he continues praying salah. So that person, he says, I saw some movement. So he shoots another one. This one strikes him in the back. He pulls it out, continues praying salah. He shot another one. He pulls it out, continues praying salah. And then, after the third one, he broke his salah. And comes to Ammar bin Yasir, he wakes him up. Ammar bin Yasir looks at him and says, he sees him in bloody. He has 3 open wounds. Not looking good. And Ammar bin Yasir said, why don't you wake me up after the first arrow? You could have woken me up after the first arrow. And Abbad bin Bishr says, I was enjoying my salah so much, I was reading Surah Kahf. I did not want to finish my salah till I completed Surah Kahf. That's a good deal. If we have that, that's a good deal. If we have that enjoyment. Stood in salah. And they stayed like that forever. Because they enjoyed it. There was one Sahabi by the name of Ka'ab. And as I'm mentioning this, at the end of the whole discussion, you're going to be doing it with the people around you. Try to remember names. There was a Sahabi by the name of Ka'ab. He comes, he accepts Islam on one condition, that he will never leave the Prophet ﷺ's company. Never. Now the only time he would have to leave his company is when the Prophet would go home. Because he can't go inside the house with him. So what he would do is, where he would sleep would be right close to the entrance and exit of the Prophet's house. So right when the Prophet would walk out, if he fell asleep, he would wake up. That's how he situated himself. And why was he doing this for? Because he was in search for a good deal. But according to him, what was the good deal? What did he want? Why was he doing this for? Sleeping there, sitting there, khidmah, service. So the Prophet would walk out of his house, he would get up, start serving him. The Prophet ﷺ would come to the masjid to pray tahajjud, he would start praying tahajjud with him. And keeping up with the Prophet's ibadah is not easy. One Sahabi, he says, I was praying salah with the Prophet ﷺ tahajjud. I said, you know what? Tonight I'm going to pray behind him. And the Prophet starts the whole Surah Baqarah. And I'm like, oh my God, this is too much. Imagine that the person who leads Isha Salah, he starts reading Surah Baqarah. We half the masjid will leave by the time the Salah is finished. Like, I broke my wudu. Right? He starts reading Surah Baqarah. The Sahabi, not us, Sahabi are people who are very close to Allah. He says after he finished Baqarah, he finished, I said, Alhamdulillah, I was thinking in my heart, he's going to go on ruku, boom, he starts Surah Al-Imran. He said, how many times in my salah, I was going to break my salah. He starts Surah Al-Imran, he finishes Surah Al-Imran. I said, he's going to stop now. Boom, he starts Surah Nisa. You know how long that is? Almost 4 juz. Right? And then he goes in ruku, his ruku is as long as his qiyam. He says, you know what, I'm not going to pray with him again. I love him, but I can't handle this. So keeping up with the Prophet is not easy in his ibadat, in his personal ibadah. Yeah, the Prophet ﷺ, he got really mad when he heard that one of his companions was leading salah, and his salah was very long. And the congregation was like, there was children there was women there was elders in the community there, and it's not easy to have a long salah. And the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ was, his salah was light, not too long, so people in the community could be there. It was easy on them. The Prophet had so much mercy in his heart for children who were crying in the masjid. And that tells you that children used to come to the masjid. You know, nowadays we see a kid come to the masjid, he starts crying, yapping, we get annoyed. And in the Prophet's masjid, women and the men used to bring their children, right? And they would cry. And the Prophet, he says, I enjoyed my salah, but then right when I would hear a cry of a child, I would think about the mother and I would make my salah short. I'll think about the mother, and I'll make my salah short. So he told that Sahabi, he said, look, when you're praying alone, you pray long. When you're praying in congregation, you pray shorter. So this Ka'ab who keeping up with his ibadah, doing everything. One day the Prophet was very intrigued by him. So he sits with him and he says, Ka'ab, this is the crux of the story. He says, Ka'ab, Sal ma shit. Ask for whatever you want. Ask for whatever you want. And I'll get it for you. If I don't have it, I'll ask Allah. Allah will give it to you. This person was broke. For him to ask for money wasn't wrong. For him to ask for a house wasn't wrong. For him to ask for a wife wasn't wrong. It wasn't wrong. It's right. You know, if you need something, you can make dua for it. It's sunnah. You need a good college education, make dua for it. You need to get good in your exams, make dua. Nothing wrong with that. But then there's a great deal, and there's a good deal, and there's a bad deal. Right? What was defined as great deals to these people? When the Prophet asked him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, Ka'ab, ask for whatever you want. I will, if I don't have it, I'll ask Allah, Allah will give it to you. You know what he said? He said, Ya Rasulullah, as'aluka murafaqataka fil jannah. I want to be with you in Jannah. That's all I want. And the Prophet looked at him. He couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it. It's like, you know how this is an oxymoron? It's like going to prison, sitting with an inmate, which I do very often, sitting with an inmate who's sentenced for 30 years, meaning he knows he's going to die there, who never ate meat or chicken for the last 20 years because it's not halal. He eats whatever is given to him, and you sit with him. The natural thing he can talk about is sabr, right? Because he's going through hardships, so he talks about sabr. It makes sense. Wallahi, every single time an inmate talks to me about shukr, I can't believe it. When they talk about shukr, Allah gave us so much. Allah bless me. You know, I'm so happy. I'm so blessed. And I look at him. I start crying. I said, "What are you talking about? Like, you should be. If you say sabr, it makes sense." But you talking about shukr, it's like seeing a child or a father who has a terminally ill child. And that father who has a terminally ill child who's sick, the father is not talking about sabr, but talking about shukr, about the blessings of Allah. It doesn't make sense in our minds. It doesn't calculate properly, the formula. So similar to that was the Prophet's answer. To him it didn't make sense. You understand what I'm saying? I give that example for this. So the Prophet, when he heard his answer, he said, what? He said, look, ask again. Ask for something else. Whatever you want, I'll get it to you. You know, we ask our children. My son who's sitting right here, Mu'adh, he knew it was his birthday 6 months before his birthday. So 6 months before his birthday, he's planning his birthday gifts. What he wants first, Dad, I want this for my birthday, I want this for my birthday. So one day he comes home and he has 7 small little pieces of paper in his pocket. And he hands me one. So I thought maybe it says, I love you, Daddy, or something like that. So he hands me a piece of paper, I open it. It's like small little scribbled paper. I open it, and it says, iPad, MacBook. 2 things, iPad and MacBook. I said, Mazi, what is this? He's like, that's what I want for my birthday. I said, both of them? This dude was shooting for the stars. He didn't want a fake computer. I want an iPad and a MacBook. And later on, he told me he also wants an Apple Watch. Okay? So then I said, what's in your pocket? He said, I pulled his pocket. He had 6 more papers. I said, and I opened each one of them. It says iPad, MacBook, iPad, MacBook. I thought, why'd you write 6 more? He said, I'm going to give it to all my chachus. He's going to give it to my brother. I have 4 brothers. He's going to give it to my 4 brothers, give it to my father-in-law, give it to my mother. He's going to give them all. Because now if he doesn't get it from one person, at least one person will say, okay, I'll get you an iPad. You see what I'm saying? These kids have this mentality, right? So that's these, and of course, ask me if his birthday went, he still doesn't have an iPad, MacBook. Don't give your kids these electronics. It's not a good idea. So here's the Prophet ﷺ, he asks, he says, Ka'b, ask for something else. And Ka'b, he says, Ya Rasulullah, all I want is to be near you in Jannah. Who doesn't want that? Today, when people are going for Hajj, what do they want? Hotels near where? Near Haram. Right or wrong? Said, does this package have hotels near the Haram? Brother, you can see the Kaaba from your room. That's what I want. I want the Kaaba view. That from my window I can see the Kaaba. Khalas, if you have that aspiration, it's not a bad thing. But the same thing times 10 should be that you want to be with the Prophet in Jannah. Not just next to the masjid in a 5-star hotel. What's the second thing they want? They want to be next to the shaitan in Hajj. Is this package the tent next to the Jamarat? We asked that, right? When you go for Hajj, I want to be near it. Well, these people had the same aspiration, but they really wanted to be next to the Prophet ﷺ in Jannah. That's what they wanted. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, okay, khalas, if you want that, أَعِنِّي عَلَيَّ بِكَثْرَةِ السُّجُودِ. If you want that amazing deal, how can I get this amazing deal? Do I have to wait for Black Friday, Cyber Monday? What do I have to wait for? The Prophet ﷺ said, you can easily get this. Easily. The only thing you have to do is pray a lot of nafil salah. Pray a lot of nafil salah. So you're praying your fard. Today we're struggling with fard. Obligated shot. He's saying, pray a lot of nafil. Today we're struggling with sunnat muakkadah. He said, pray a lot of nafil. Anytime you get time, pray salah. You come to the masjid, pray 2 rakats. You wake up in the morning, pray 2 rakats. You're sleeping at night, pray 2 rakats. The more sajdas you have, the more chance you have to be next to the Prophet on the Day of Judgment. That's a good deal. That's an amazing deal. One time the Prophet was sitting down, and that was just 10 more minutes and we're done. One time the Prophet was sitting down, and look at these people, man. I mean, honestly, wallahi, it's to my children who are youngsters who are sitting here. I remember when I was 15, 16 years old. I was the biggest, since I was 7 years old till 15, I was the biggest Michael Jordan fan you will ever see in your life. The first dua I made when I saw the Kaaba, when I was 10 years old, my dad said, he's like, oh, Joe, whatever dua, the first dua you make when you see the Kaaba, it's accepted, correct? Whatever dua you make is accepted. My father pumped us up, gave us targheeb, he knows my dad. We get there, my three brothers, my mom, my dad. My dad has afterwards, my dad put me on the spot. He said, "What dua did you make?" I said, "Don't ask me what dua I made, man. You don't have to ask me that. What dua did you make?" My first dua when I saw the Kaaba was, "Oh Allah, give Michael Jackson and Michael Jordan hidayah." That was my first dua, the two MJs. We were fanatics for these people. When I was 14, 15 years old, I remember hearing the stories of Sahaba. And I said, these people are really cool people. These people are cool people, man. Wallah, there's nobody more cool than them. I want to learn about these people. Today, we don't even know the name of more than 5, 7 Sahaba. Our kids know all the superheroes, their names, comic, cartoons. But when they talk about the companions, because no one has ever told them. Every time we interview kids to come to our school, one of the questions we have is, name as many Sahaba you know. Not prophets, Sahaba. So the name, 1, 2, 3. So one kid came, there's two twins, they're twins, from Houston. They came to our school. I asked them, name as many companions of the Prophet you know. And what do you know about them? They named 2, Abu Bakr and Umar. Because their name Abu Bakr and Umar. Okay? That's all they knew, Abu Bakr and Umar. They were 11 years old. So I said, come on, you don't know anymore. And I was shocked. I said, that's all you know? You know what one kid said? He said, well, my mother never taught me anything else. She never taught us. I said, whose fault is that? It's not these poor kids' fault. So here is this Ansar of Medina. These people were amazing people. They were poor. They gave all of their money to the Muhajirin. So finally one day, after days of tying stones to their stomach, poverty, hunger, okay? Even hunger, things that are haram become halal. In hunger, in poverty, right? So here is the Sahaba. The Prophet would pray Fajr Salah. Sometimes a whole saf will fall down out of hunger. They could no longer stand. The Prophet once he was praying Salah sitting down, and he never would pray sitting down. That day he was praying sitting down. Abu Hurairah comes, Ya Rasulullah, mali araka tusalli jalisan. So what happened to you? You're sitting down and praying? And he looks at Abu Hurairah, points towards the stomach. He says, Al-ju'u ya Abu Hurairah. I don't have enough strength to stand because it's hunger. The pain of hunger makes me sit. The Prophet ﷺ, if Allah is the king of the skies and the earth, then the Prophet ﷺ, he's the king of this earth. Allah gave him kingdom. He said, whatever you want, you can take. He said, I'll take this. It's a better deal. Better deal, man. خَيْرَ سُلَيْمَانَ بَيْنَ الْمُلْكِ وَالْعِلْمِ. Sulaiman Islam was presented with 2 deals. Here's one, take kingdom of the world. The other deal is, get ilm, knowledge of Allah. Dunya and deen, in our terminology. Dunya and deen. He was presented with both options. By Allah. So meaning they were both fine. Not by some people. Allah presented him with kingdom. Allah presented him with deen and ilm. Learning more ilm. Being a scholar. Sulaiman didn't even think. فَاخْتَارَ الْعِلْمِ. He didn't even think about it. Like when we have kids and we're debating, should I send them to an Islamic school to become hafiz or alim? Or this thought should not even circulate in our mind more than a second. This shouldn't be a thought. The moment the child is born, we're like, we want to make this kid hafiz, alim, mufti, great scholar. That should be our thought. And I guarantee you, people who do that, Allah will treat them like Sulaiman alayhi salam. Sulaiman alayhi salam didn't even think. He said, I want ilm. فَأَعْطَاهُ الْمُلْكَ وَالْعِلْمِ. Allah gave him kingdom and gave him ilm. That's it. He chose a better deal. He chose deen, Allah gave him dunya and deen. So these Sahaba, they were like that. They were poor, they were hungry. They come in, one day the Prophet was sitting down, and the Ansar get together. And this is my final story. I had three more things to say, but I'll conclude with this. They get together, 5, 10 of them, and they do mashwara. They say, you know what? I don't think it's a bad thing to ask the Prophet ﷺ to make dua. Allah gives us more dunya. Because we're really suffering here. We really are suffering. So they made mashwara, and they decided to ask the Prophet ﷺ to make dua that Allah gives them more nourishment and resources so that they don't have to suffer this much. He said, fine, let's do this. So they come to the Prophet ﷺ. They walk into the masjid. Right when they walk into the masjid, the Prophet ﷺ looks at them. Marhaban bi ahl al-ansar. Marhaban bi ahl al-ansar. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And then he says something to them that hits them in their core. He says the same thing he said to Ka'b. He said, "Oh Ansar, today I'm so happy with you that whatever you ask for, if I have, I will give you. And if I don't have, I will ask Allah to give you." That's it. Whatever you want. What did they come for? They're asking for something jais. And so right when the Prophet he said that, the Ansar didn't think twice. They looked at each other, did mashura with their eyes. You know, with their eyes, like this, like that. So Sa'ad went forward. He said, "Ya Rasulullah, jitna ilayka tas'aluna al-maghfirah. Fas'alullah al-maghfirah." That we have come to you so that you can ask for us, you can make dua for us, that Allah forgives our sins. He said, "Anything else?" He said, "All we want is that Allah forgives our sins." Who's asking this? Sahaba. Sahaba. Who even at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, even a munafiq would pray 5 times salah in the masjid. Only the open hypocrite would have a problem coming for Fajr and Isha. But everybody else will come to the masjid for salah. So what sins is he talking about? We ask, "O Allah, O Prophet of Allah, that you ask Allah to forgive our sins." The Prophet ﷺ says, "Anything else?" He says, "No, we want you to ask Allah to forgive our sins." And the Prophet ﷺ raises his hands. He says, "Allahumma ghfir lil ansar, wa li abna'i al ansar, wa li abna'i al ansar, wa li mawali al ansar, wa li jiran al ansar." He makes dua. "Oh Allah, forgive the Ansar. Forgive their kids. Forgive their grandchildren. Forgive their great-grandchildren. Forgive the people that work in their homes. Forgive their neighbors." When the Prophet says, "Oh Allah, forgive them," that means, "Oh Allah, guarantee them Jannah." And he made dua for their progenies. They left so happy because that was a good deal. Was that a good deal or not? That the Prophet is making dua for you? What's the effect of the Prophet's dua? And I conclude by this. What's the effect of this deal? There was one Sahabi by the name of Sa'ad bin Bajira. He was in the battle of Khandaq. He was a young man, like maybe like youngster like him, 15 to 18 years old. But he was a good horse rider. In the battle of Khandaq, it was very cold. It was very tough. The climate was tough. So these young people have more energy. So he was showing his energy and zeal on his horse, flocking around, jumping around, and just moving from one side to the other side. And the Prophet noticed him. Remember, you do something good, Allah will notice. Even if nobody notices. Even if your wife doesn't notice or your husband doesn't notice, Allah will notice. We're not doing good so people can notice. The best deeds are the ones that nobody notices but Allah. Wallahi, those are the most powerful deeds. So we're not doing deeds or community service or working in the masjid or in our homes so that we get appreciated, so that we get noticed. If we get noticed and appreciated, we say, "Astaghfirullah, we did it for Allah, we wish nobody found out about it." Sufyan bin Uyayna was a great muhaddith. Someone saw him in his dream. He said, "Ya Sufyan, how did Allah forgive you? What did Allah do with you?" And Sufyan bin Uyayna said, "Wallahi, Allah did not look at my durus, my halaqah, my teaching, my hadith teaching. Allah forgave me because of the few rak'ats of salah I used to read at night when nobody was watching. Because of that." So this person was on the horse, but the Prophet was a very nice man. He noticed him. So he called him. He said, "Bring that person over here." We should do that with kids in our community too. We see a kid coming for salah to the masjid, we should go out of our way, tap his head and say, "Bacha, beta, good job. Continue what you're doing. You're a good person. Make dua for him." Even though you may think your dua is insignificant, but Allah always listens to the dua of another person. Make dua for him, even if it's not your kid. Go to him and say, "Assalamu alaikum, I see you doing a lot of work in the masjid. Keep it up. May Allah reward you for it." Sisters do that with young sisters. Mothers do that with other people's children. Now with your own kids, do with other people's kids. Watch the effect of this. So the Prophet ﷺ, he noticed him and he calls him. Somebody asked me, "What community should I move to?" I love Columbus. Somebody asked me, "What community should I move to?" I wrote a 6-page article on this. Like, which community in America should you move to? I, dissected all these different communities, these different requirements. And my conclusion was that go to a community that if you are not in the masjid for one salat, meaning you come for Isha every day, and one day you're not there for Isha, everybody misses you. They feel your absence. And if it was because you were sick, you never came, so they come go visit you. If it was because of a need, your car broke down, they help you. The Prophet ﷺ, he said this about people in the masjid, that these are people that when they're not there, people miss them. Now, if we're in a masjid and we're coming for Fajr every day, and 2 weeks go by, we don't show up, sometimes it's a lack, the iman goes up and down. So sometimes for 2 weeks you won't show up, but if nobody ever even called us, came to our house, knocked on our door, texted us, we may even go further. It's a blessing to have people in the community that feel our absence. Wallahi, it's a blessing. The Sahaba, the Prophet, Umar ibn Khattab, he sits, he's the Amir al-Mu'mineen, he turns around every day, sees all the people. One day he turns around, and take a youngster in the corner of the masjid, Fajr Salah. Umar ibn Khattab turns around, he notices one person not being there. He says, Mali ara shab. Why don't I see that young person who used to pray Salah over there? Sahaba are like, I don't know. We don't know. He noticed that he's not there. He noticed it. So he said, find out why he's not here. So people went, they came back, and they were hiding the news from Umar. Hiding. Umar said, did you go find out? He said, yeah, but it's okay. Try and brush it off. He said, no, I want to know why is he not coming? What happened? 1 day with my 2 days with my, why is he not coming? And finally they said, we don't want to tell you because it's going to hurt you, but this person, he started drinking alcohol. He's an alcoholic now. So Umar al-Khattab started crying. He takes a paper and pen out, he writes a letter. He says, Min Amir al-Mu'mineen ila sadiqi wa akhi. He said, from Amir al-Mu'mineen to my friend and my brother. To these people, just saying my brother was so powerful. My brother, powerful. When Umar was asked, what was the greatest moment of your life? And he had great moments. Many great moments. Every moment of his life was great. He said, what was the greatest moment of your life? You know what he said? He said, when I was going for Umrah, and I was saying salam to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet looked at me, and he said, Ya akhi, la tansani min du'aik. Oh my brother, don't forget me in your dua. He said, the fact that the Prophet called me his brother, that's it. That was the greatest moment of my life. Ya akhi, oh my brother, don't forget me in your du'as. So he says, he writes this letter, Min Amir al-Mu'mineen ila sadiqi wa akhi. He said, from Amir al-Mu'mineen to my brother and to my friend. And he writes a small passage of the Quran about Allah's forgiveness, how Allah forgives everything. And Allah is waiting for people who sin. It's a long passage. And he gives it to the person. He says, listen, you stay around him. It doesn't matter if you have to stay there for months. Do not hand him this letter if he's in the state of intoxication. He has to be sane. He has to be free of any alcohol when you give him this letter. Now, if that takes you months, you wait there. You go every day until you find him in that condition. This person, he says, I went there weeks at a time. Weeks, months. Finally I found a moment where he was not in the state of intoxication. And I go and I run and I just leave a letter to him. Like this. Leave it. Now he's not intoxicated. He opens the letter. He reads it. He starts to cry. His beard gets wet. He comes to the masjid for the next salah. When Umar ibn Khattab sees him, he stands up, they hug and they embrace and they cry. Their absence was missed, man. That's how these people were. When they were not there, they were missed. So, my brothers and sisters in Islam, the Prophet ﷺ, he sees this Sa'ad. I was talking about the story of Sa'ad and the horse. Remember the story of Sa'ad and the horse? Energetic young person. He calls him. He says, what's your name? He said, my name is Sa'ad. The Prophet said, I'm so happy with what you're doing. Shabash. He puts his hand, the Prophet's hand, he puts his hand on his head like this. Good job, boy. You know how he's supposed to do, Berta? Good job. He said, good job. Keep it up. And he leaves. This person's son was Habib. His son was Najib. His son was Ibrahim. So 3 children. Ibrahim's son was Yaqub, 4th child. Yaqub is the name of Imam Abu Yusuf rahimahullah, who is the greatest student of Imam Abu Hanifa. He was the chief justice of his time, the greatest muhaddith, great faqih, wali of Allah. I mean, this man is, if I talk about him, I can talk about him for days. Imam Abu Yusuf rahimahullah. Imam Abu Yusuf rahimahullah, whenever someone would ask him, how did you get all this knowledge? You know what he would say? He would cry and he would say, I could still feel the effect of the hand of the Prophet on my great-grandfather. It is because of the hand, the blessing of the hand, that I have this, what I have today. So here's the Prophet making the dua for the Ansar. Was that a good deal? That was a great deal. So I conclude by saying, look for those moments in our lives. Look for them. Look for them in our lives. What can I do that I can have this deal with the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that I can be with him in Jannah? That I can please Allah. That's the greatest deal. Because if I get likes on Facebook or followers on Instagram, so what? The most depressed people are those people. They get there, but they don't get anything. But if I can make Allah happy, and I can die with this conviction in my heart that I could be next to the Prophet on the Day of Judgment, or I could be in the banner, under the banner of Fatima on the Day of Judgment, then that's a great life. That's a good deal. I have a friend who's 52 years old, white person, just a non-Muslim, my friend. He's my car friend from the M3 Post. I took him out for Thanksgiving dinner because he doesn't have family. I mean, taking him out for Thanksgiving is a haram. I just took him out, to Olive Gardens. I ate my salad, I took him out to eat. I was sitting with him and I was intrigued by him, that he has no family, no nothing. He has only one friend of his, and his friend's name is T-Bone. T-Bone's his dog. No other. He has colleagues, co-workers. He has that, but he doesn't have friends, family. So I asked him, I said, Mark, if you die, I'm so sorry I don't want to sound offensive, but if you die, how many people do you think will be on your list of visitors or guests that come to see you off, that come to bury you? How many people do you think will be there for your funeral, for your memorial service? Like, name them. We should think about that sometimes too. Wallahi. That will tell you how good of a person you are. That will tell you how good. It doesn't matter if the guy's living in Africa or if he's living in Pakistan or India. If you did good for him, he will do anything possible to come for a janazah. He'll do anything possible. Junaid Jamshed passed away, rahimahullah, in an airplane crash. 2 years. How many years has it been so far? 3 years ago, right? It was his third year anniversary recently, a few weeks ago, right? He passed away in the mountains. How many thousands and thousands and thousands of people, they booked flights from all over the world just to be there for his janazah. And it's not like he knew them personally, right? One of our Mawlana Yusuf Mutala Sahab, muhaddith of our time in Darul Uloom Bury in England, one of the first ulama of the Western world, he passed away while he was visiting in Toronto. His entire family is in England or India. He was visiting in Toronto, he got sick, he passed away. He has never taught me in his life. I've seen him once, but I've never learned from him. I heard of his passing away. I think by texting me, calls me, I respond after a week because our life is just like that. I heard about he passed away at night. It doesn't matter how busy you are. It doesn't matter what's going on in your life. For me, the most important thing was I have to be there for his janazah. I have to be there. It doesn't matter what happens. The world can go right, left. It doesn't matter what happens. I'm going. I got in my car, drove to Toronto. When I got to Toronto, the masjid in Toronto was 3 or 4 times the size of this masjid. The main hall was full of ulama. He passed away at night. His janazah was at dhuhr. People, right when he went to the hospital, people from England, South Africa, everywhere, they didn't even know he was going to pass away. The fact that they might miss his funeral if he passed away, they booked flights and they came to Toronto 3 days in advance. We have to be there. This is life. When you know this is a good deal. Habibi, wallahi, this is the craziest thing I saw in my life. We buried him. We buried him. And the line to put dirt in his grave, dirt. I'm not talking about someone 1,400 years ago. I'm talking about someone that passed away 3 months ago. The line to put dirt in his grave, just 3 handful and drop it in the grave, I had to wait for more than an hour. I was at a funeral a week before that, and he was one of the wealthiest Muslims in the Midwest. No name, nothing. When I got to his grave, I was there for his janazah. When I got to his gravesite, it was the most unbelievable thing I've seen in my life, was that there was probably 20, 30 people there, dressed in black suits and ties. Some females were standing on the corner over there. The grave, you buried him. There was a truck that had all the dirt. It backed up right to the edge of the grave. It tilted like this, and all the dirt went in the grave. Nobody even touched one particle of sand to make their hand dirty. It was just like, shh, boom, done. Nobody even, I was the only one. I picked up and put it there. They didn't want to make their clothes dirty. They didn't want to get there's no connection. The connection of wealth is nothing. You don't have it, no one's with you. So here's Muawiyah Mutala Sahib. He passed away, and before we left his gravesite, there were so many huffaz and ulama standing right there. They distributed the Quran. You're doing the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 10, 15, 20, 21st, 20. Just standing at his gravesite, we finished more than 10 khatams of Quran in 15 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all of it done. Right? That's a life worth. I asked Mark, how many people will be there for your funeral? Just tell me. You know what he said? Only T-Bone. Who is T-Bone? His dog. And he said, Abdul, maybe you. Said, what kind of life is that? So for that, brothers and sisters in Islam, it requires an effort. It requires taking out time for Allah. And I request all of you, before we leave today, the first intention we make, that we will start looking for the good deals that are actually good deals in the eyes of Allah. Ready for that, inshallah? Anything. All the ahadith where the Prophet says, if you do this, then me and you will be like this in Jannah. That should really mean something to us. Like how that means to us when we get a hotel next to haram. That when you're packaging, most 99% of Americans, when they're getting Umrah and Hajj packages, one of their first priorities is, I want hotels near haram. So here the same thing. The Prophet is saying, if someone does this and this, me and him will be like this in Jannah. That means you should want to be like that. If you do more nafil salah, you will be like this with me in Jannah. You should want to be like that. And the Prophet ﷺ is saying, the one who stands firm on my deen in the time of corruption, me and him will be like this in Jannah. You should want to be like that. So for this, first intention we make is we look and strive for those good deals. And the second intention is that, like that Ka'ab who did khidmah all his life, and when he asked to be next to the Prophet in Jannah, the Prophet said, you have to do something. The bigger the house, the more effort it takes. If you want a house next to the Prophet, it's going to take some effort. It's going to take some struggle. And the first effort and sacrifice and struggle is leave our homes and come to the masjid. That's the first struggle. It doesn't matter what the weather is, what time it is. Salah is happening in the masjid. Leave our homes, come to the masjid. You people are blessed, your home's next to the masjid. You can do it. The second struggle is what the Sahaba did. They left their communities and went to other communities. To be part of the other community. To see the other communities. To go in the path of Allah. This was the second struggle. If you look towards the seat of the Prophet ﷺ, this is something that everybody was doing. It was not like today, nowadays, it's like, oh, it's sunnah? All right, it's sunnah. That's how it is. At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they were looking for more things to do that were sunnah so they can do those. This is what the Prophet did day and night. Sahaba did this day and night. They left the Prophet's gathering. So my second request to all of you sitting here, actually it's my third one. The first one is find all the good deals, make sure you find them, do them. Second one is, for that, there's an effort required. Make sure you populate the masajid, populate the a'mal of the masajid. If there's ta'aleem, if there's jawad, whatever's happening in the masjid, make sure you're part of it. The third thing is leave our communities and make that part of our sacrifice, our DNA. They say that the best students of colleges, studies happen every year. The best students who are studying at university and colleges are students who are far away from home, living in dorms. Because they're focused on their studies, they want to get done, they want to go back. They don't have distractions. In our madrasa, the boarding students average become hafiz in 2 years, boarding students. They come from all over America. The local students average become hafiz in 5 years. Because Allah has mercy on those steps that you left from home. Allah gives you something that you could not have achieved at your own house. The fact that you left for Allah, Allah blesses you. Not that it's your intellect. It's just the fact that you left. Allah has mercy on you. And this is something I see every single day. Some people say, I'm going to move next year to madrasa so my son can study there. I say, listen, if you have a job in Columbus and you're working there, and you have the opportunity of sending your son for 3 weeks or 2 weeks or 1 week intensive, you rather do that, Allah will have mercy on him. The fact that he's leaving for ilm, leaving for the sake of Allah, leaving our homes, it should be part of our DNA. Part of it. So for this, inshallah, there's 2 requests I have for all of you. This upcoming weekend, I invite all of you, your children, come to Michigan, where I'm from, 3.5 hours away. We have a very nice facility over there, comfortable masjid, beautiful gym. The kids will have fun. You will enjoy. The wives and the sisters who are here, they're probably thinking, what can we do? Inshallah, there's things for you as well. There's a Seerah intensive happening from the 22nd till 28th in Michigan. And my brother goes, Sheikh Abdullah and some ulama, they will go over the entire life of the Prophet ﷺ. And it is last year Seerah intensive. Every year after Seerah intensive, we have surveys. Okay, how did you feel? Last year, more than 6 students who sat in Seerah intensive, within 1 week saw the Prophet in their dream. Why wouldn't they? You focus 7 hours a day for 6 days and just learning about the life of the Prophet ﷺ, just learning his life, is unbelievable. So for the sisters and mothers who are sitting here, that's for you. You can come for that. Bring your children. There's things for 4 or 5. We have 2 different Seerah intensives. One is for adults. At the same time, there's for children who are 4, 5, 6 years old, 7 years old. You have 2 different gatherings. So while you're sitting here, your kids will be taken care of over there. For the brothers who are over here, I ask and request all of you that next week, you can come for Seerah intensive as well. But this weekend, we will have, Atiq is bringing a group of people to Michigan. Give intentions for that. All of you should make intention for that. And also for winter break, spend your breaks wisely. They say that the most successful people are the ones who don't waste their free time. Is that true? They don't waste their free time. They're the most successful people because everyone has free time. Some people spend their free time 2 hours at a restaurant. Some people spend their free time looking for new shoes. But then Steve Jobs is considered a very successful person. He wore the same pair of shoes his entire life because he says, I don't even want to think what shoes I want to buy. These shoes, why do you wear these shoes for? Because they're the fastest shoes to wear and take off. So I mean, if you took 3 minutes to put your shoes on, it wouldn't have wasted your time. But this guy's a successful person in the terms of dunya, and he values not wasting his free time. Not wasting it. This is my free time, bang, I'm not wasting it. Even to his shoes. Even to his shoes. Like that. I've sat with scholars, Sheikh Tariq Jamil Sahib, for example. I ate with him many times. Many times. You sit down with this man, the people who are with him, they enjoy the best food. Because everyone gives them all the food. Nihari, korme, ye, wo, everything's there. Right? And he sits down, the poor man eats a small piece of bread, this, that. Like within 5, like a bird eating. You know a bird eats? Within 5 minutes he's gone. But the guy's not going to sit, unless there's people sitting there, he can talk to them. If it's just for food, he's going to be there for 5, 7 minutes, he's gone. He has things to do. What do you have to do? You'll open a book and read it. He'll reply to someone's letter. Someone wrote a letter, he'll reply to that. He'll reply to a text message from some sister in Pakistan asking for dua. He'll reply to that. But this is a meaningful life. So you have free time in winter break. All of the kids have free time. We're not asking you that in your time that you're busy, you take out time. We're asking you, in your free time, take out time and give it to Allah. Whether it's for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, whatever it is, take out time in your free time. Allah will bless you. And all of you make intention for this, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. I think I can speak for a few minutes. Don't leave until the dua, inshallah.
Inshallah, we'll be starting from here on Friday. So inshallah, brothers have arranged transportation. Inshallah, you can approach us and your kids can, inshallah, join us. We will take them from here and we'll bring them back here, inshallah. So we'll be starting on Friday after Asr Salat. So please approach us for that. And Alhamdulillah, for men, sisters have prepared some food. The food will be in the North Conference room. So please don't leave without taking food. And for kids, there will be pizza. For boys, there will be pizza on the like next to the South Conference room. And for girls, next to the library. And don't forget, it will be 20th December on Friday after Asr. Inshallah, we will leave from here and we will be spending a couple of days in Mufti Saab's madrasa, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, Mufti Saab, for coming.
Again, I'll be there. I'm ready to host you, brothers. So please do come if you can. Before we end, just 3 minutes, with 2-3 people next to you, just discuss whatever you remember from the gathering. MashaAllah, we sit in many gatherings of dhikr and ilm. The sisters were upstairs. Just with the person. See, I'm a teacher, not a speaker. And teaching is more effective than speaking. So we come here, we hear beautiful khutbahs. The best way to retain it is to just talk about it for a few minutes. For 3 minutes, next to the person, like 2 people, 3 people, whatever you remember, whatever point you want to take home, discuss it. Bismillah. It doesn't matter. Say salam to the guy next to you and do it. If he's your relative, don't do it. Say Bismillah. Say what somebody that's a stranger. Bismillah. And speak about this only. I'm going to ask you, inshallah, to share what you remember. I don't see the sisters doing it. Sisters are doing it? All right, Bismillah. Some Sahaba names, some stories, some reflections, some examples, whatever you remember. We'll have dua in 1-2 minutes, inshallah. So don't leave until dua, inshallah. All right, inshallah. Just quickly, 2-3 people, 2-3 volunteers who wants to share what they talked about. 2-3 volunteers, raise your hand. Anything you want to share? Bismillah. Okay, guys, give him your ear, inshallah. Give him your ear. Bismillah. Both your ears. Bismillah. Just sit there and say it. Louder. Come here. Pay attention, inshallah, okay? Come here. Gee, what did you learn? Look at them. MashaAllah. So if you spend your extra time, free time, properly, effectively, that's one thing. Anybody else wants to volunteer? Yes, go ahead, baby. What do you remember? What's your name?
Azim,
Azim, what did you remember?
don't waste your free time.
MashaAllah. Imagine if you can just do that. All right, don't waste your free time. Anybody else? Go, come here. Bismillah.
One thing I'll take home is the story about the person praying Salah and getting struck by the arrows. And he wouldn't stop praying. He would finish Surah Al-Kahf. At the third time, then let go of his prayer and then go to the other person.
MashaAllah. Say MashaAllah. That's awesome. It's awesome. See, don't ever forget that story. What's the person's name? Does anyone remember the person's name? I'm going to say it and you repeat. Yes, what's his name? Abbad bin Bishr. Abbad. If you just remember Abbad, you know Abdullah? Abd? Abbad. In Urdu we say Ibad to people, right? Ibad. His name, Abbad. Okay?
Pray 2 rakat nafil, extra 2 rakats.
It's very profitable. So you remember the story of the 2 rakat nafil. Remember the story of the 2 rakat nafil? That person did transaction and how many gold coins did he earn that day? How many? 300. And the Prophet said, what's more profitable than that? 2 rakats of salah. MashaAllah. Take inshallah. Just may Allah make it easy for us to act upon our verse and bring it to our lives. Jazakallah khair. See you guys soon. Subhanallah bihamdihi. Subhanakallah bihamdika. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wa salamun ala al-mursalin. Walhamdulillahi alamin. Bi rahmatika ya rahman rahim.
So inshallah, for men, the food will be in North Conference Room. And for kids, the pizza outside in the lobby, inshallah. Please don't forget.